Who is the most dislikable club in England? That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, a few weeks ago on the community tab, I posed that question to you guys. Who do you think is the most dislikable club in England? But you're not allowed to say your main rivals. We got some interesting answers on that post, and in today's video, we're going to be going through some of the best of them. I'd also be interested to hear some of your guys' thoughts in the comments down below as well. Which teams do you have an irrational hatred for, and for what reason? Drop a like if you go on to enjoy. Without any further ado, let's jump in. Talking Ben says, anyone who supported their local team in the 90s and 2000s know how insufferable Man United fans not from Manchester were, and to be honest, I do second that comment. Obviously, there are exceptions to everything, but I feel like the team that's most dominant when you're growing up especially, I just feel like it's a bit natural to have a dislike towards that team because they're the side that swoop up all the glory supporters along the way, the plastic fans as well. I think especially when you come from an area, you know, like me in Preston, where you do get a hell of a lot of Man United fans, considering that they were the dominant team when I was growing up as well in the 2000s. At that point, I definitely had a dislike for them. These days, I'm sort of indifferent, really. You know, United, nowhere to be seen now, in and around the top of the table, are they? But back in the day, I do relate to that comment. On the opposite end of the spectrum, Louis says, Man City, no explanation needed. I definitely feel like for the current generation of football fans growing up, Man City will be, you know, one of the most disliked clubs, obviously. The money they've spent, how they've got to the top, the years of dominance that they've had, and probably the amount of, you know, plastic glory fans that they'll have accumulated in recent times as well. Myself personally, I've never actually minded Man City that much, but I think that's just because they were the club that sort of knocked United off their perch. Antonio says, MK Dons, no need to explain, and MK Dons were probably the most popular answer on that community tab post that I did. I think virtually every team in the 92 has fans who support different clubs but have a soft spot for that team for whatever reason. MK Dons are one of those clubs where I just can't imagine any team that supports any other club in the 92 having a soft spot for MK Dons. I think in fairness to their fans, they sort of thrive on the hatred now, don't they? Or I suppose the indifference that a lot of people show to them. My dislike for MK Dons spans back to our promotion season in League One back in 2014-15 when they pipped us to second place in League One. Thankfully, we went up via the playoffs anyway, but yeah, they were one of our main rivals that year. Alan with another shout for MK Dons here, shouldn't even be a team. This Stoke City fan says Chelsea just due to their past in terms of how they treat their players like Chalobah a season or two ago. Yeah, Chelsea, I can see why they rub a few people the wrong way. Obviously, their meteoric rise in the early 2000s under Roman Abramovich. Then even how they've gone about things under their latest owners as well. I think that generally goes against what a lot of football fans are for, but very successful, you have to give that to them. We have this comment, Wrexham, just cause they are a money team. And yeah, Wrexham definitely got a few shouts in the community tab that I posted as one of the most disliked sides in the 92 right now. Prior to the Hollywood takeover, and even in the first year or two of the takeover, I'd still say there were a lot of neutrals who were, you know, really pleased for Wrexham, had a soft spot for them in some cases, but the way they've ascended the leagues and gone about doing it, ruffling quite a few feathers along the way, I think it's fair to say. Wrexham have picked up a lot of haters, but that's bound to happen when you're the team that suddenly got all the money. And ultimately, that sort of thing, it probably does boil down to jealousy. You know, I could definitely say as a Preston North End fan, I'd absolutely kill to have someone like that as our owners. The amount of traction that Wrexham have picked up, though, in recent seasons, yeah, they've picked up a lot of hate along the way, haven't they? I think a lot of that is due to the media attention, how much they've been given compared to, you know, other League 1 and 2 clubs during that span. But when you have Hollywood owners, I think that's what comes with it. BM Kloss says, I am a QPR fan. Outside of the other London clubs, I would say Stoke City for some reason. Of course, I also dislike Man City and Man United. You know what? Stoke got a lot of mentions on this post about being the most disliked side as well. You know, another one here from Charlie, who's a Swansea fan. He says he absolutely hates Stoke. Chaz says Swansea defo. Tuesday night Swansea matches seem like a given every season. Do you know what? As a North End fan, I can sort of back that up. I absolutely hate playing Swansea away. We've got an absolutely terrible record whenever we go to the Liberty. I want to say we've won about once there since the year 2000, something like that. Weirdly, we've already seemed to have a fairly decent record against Swansea though whenever we've played them at Deepdale, but for whatever reason that fixture has always skewed towards the home side, and whenever we've gone to Swansea, usually we've got played off the park there. Travis, who's a Millwall fan, says Leeds are the most dislikable club in the 92. Yeah, we got quite a few shots for Leeds being the most dislikable club, I will admit. This comment about Leeds made me chuckle. Leeds because of their fans. No doubt there'll be some quality people in the stands somewhere, but everyone I've met in person has this aloofness, an air of superiority, because they still think they should be that team from the 90s fighting it out for a Champions League place. Now, to be fair, my job other than YouTube, I do work for a company in Leeds, and whenever I'm over there, obviously work with quite a few Leeds fans, and they've always been very pleasant with me. But I take the sentiment. I do think that Leeds think that they are a, big fish in a small pond whenever they are in the Championship. But what I would say about Leeds is I do think the Championship overall just is a better league for having them in it, I think. They thrive off the fact that no one really likes them. I sort of feel like that almost prickly nature between Leeds and some of the other fan bases is maybe washed away a little bit with the Premier League and how corporate that's become. But going off the comment section, safe to say a lot of people don't like Leeds. Harry Barnes says Preston from a Rovers fan. That's fair enough. Mark, who's a Coventry fan, says Preston, I'm a Cov fan, we never win there. And that's definitely a logical reason for why you can dislike a football club. If you constantly go away to that ground and never see your team win, naturally that's always going to build up. And Coventry, especially playing them at Deepdale, yeah, we do have a tremendous record against. Speaking as a North End fan, what's the away day that I've dreaded doing because we've always lost there? I've done Reading away a few times. I don't think I've ever seen us win there. I've seen us lose in the last minute. I've seen us get battered there. At the time, I think that drove up a little bit of a unconscious dislike for Reading. AC30 Edit says Coventry, I'm a Borough fan. Yeah, if you're a Middlesbrough fan, you're probably not going to be the biggest fan of Coventry, are you? From beating you in that playoff semi-final a few years ago, to just in general beating Borough every single time they play them. Middlesbrough haven't won any of their last 8 head-to-head games against Cov, which is absolutely mental, isn't it? Cov did the double over them last season as well. Wouldn't be surprised if they do the same this season. Harrison says Derby, cannot stand them and haven't seen us beat them somehow. As a North End fan, the one game that scars me that we played against Derby was right at the back end of the 2017/18 season. It was at Deepdale. Alan Brown missed a first half penalty and then Tom Lawrence won it for Derby in the second half. The biggest stinger from all of that was that at the end of the season, Derby pipped us to the top 6, finishing 1 place above us and finishing 2 points above us. So had we beaten Derby that day, had Brown converted that penalty, North End could have made the top 6 and then who knows what happens from there. But yeah, generally speaking in recent history, Derby have had a very good record against North End, or they've tended to at least. GT5YT, who's a Norwich fan, is quite concise, saying Leeds, just hate them. Fair enough. But that'll wrap it up for today's video, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Just a bit of a fun video, really, but I'd be interested to get some of your takes in the comments down below. Other than your main rivals, who do you think is the most dislikable club in the 92 and why? Or is it just for an irrational reason? Let me know. Other than that though, guys, thank you very much for watching. Drop a like if you want to enjoy and subscribe if you are new around here. Apart from that, thanks for tuning in and I'll see you all in the next one.